Okay, we'll call the February Finance Committee meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
McTaggart,
Here.
Alt,
Here.
Bowers,
Here.
Curtis,
Here.
Sticknall,
Here.
Johnson, here.
Okay, call the meeting to order. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. We have any public comments? Hearing none, we'll go to Greg Steffen.
Hey, hang on.
Yep.
We haven't had any information on claims or changes since last month's meeting.
Okay. We were wondering, do we have any information about the cybersecurity?
Yes, we sent it to Amanda for.
Okay.
the meeting
I just
for
got
9:30.
the application. I'm gonna go over it with Michael Tabor when he's here this afternoon, because there's some information that I'm not sure how to fill that out.
Okay. Is that, okay. We're good on that. Susie, group insurance?
It's been quiet on our end since last meeting as well. We've had just a few enrollment changes here and there that Amanda has sent over. We've gotten those processed, but it has been quiet, which is a good thing on the claims side.
Very good. Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks.
We'll go to department heads. Lisa?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Tom? None. Eric?
There was a grant for 911 that's recently come out mid-December. I've sent that off for approval at the end of January. It was due on February the 4th. We requested over $366,000, so we've got our fingers crossed that we can see all of that come so we can work on purchasing a new CAD system.
Very good. What else we got? Kurt, you got anything?
Other than we're putting out bids for the tax, for the paper that the tax bills go out on, still waiting on some of the printers in the county to respond back to us.
Okay. And Amanda?
Yes. On January 30th, I had a meeting, a phone call with Hope Wheeler and Audra with Nyhart. When Hope was here for our last quarterly meeting, we talked about the GASB 75 and this OPEB, it's other post-employment benefits. And Hope said that we would need to have an actuary study for this OPEB. So she was able to locate a company that would do the study for us. Our last study looked like, was done back in 2009, so we were due for a new study to be done. During the call, we went through our last study, and it definitely needs some updating since it's been that long since it's been done. I did ask for a quote to be given to us. I let Audra know when our next finance meeting would be, and that we would need a cost, so I can provide that to the finance committee. I was able to get that quote, and we're looking at for FY18 for them to do the study. The quote is $4,500 to get that done. They would reduce the fee to $4,000 if we would commit to a 2-year deal with them. In talking to Hope, she did state that she doesn't necessarily think that we would need to commit to a 2-year deal with them. It's something that needs to be done every other year, so she thinks that we could just do every other rather than every year. Hope's email states that governments are required to implement the new government standard related to OPEB. This requires an actuarial study to calculate what your current employees are earning now as they are working as a healthcare benefit they may take advantage of when they retire. Accounting standards want the estimated expense for this to be recognized now while employed rather than after they retire. In most cases, retired employees have to pay 100% of health premiums if they stay on the health plan when retired. However, this can still impact the premium rate for current employees, so it can still trigger an OPEB liability or expense for the county. These expenses are only recorded in a government-wide full accrual financial statements, except for 911 fund, because it is an enterprise fund. So this is something recommended by our auditors, and I'm just asking for.
And this is a new law. The reason why we,
Yes.
yes, we haven't had it done since 2009, because it's a new requirement.
Yes, it is.
And if we did if I read that right, that if we agreed to a 2-year, you have to do it every other year. But if we agreed to the in-between study in the odd year, which Hope is saying we probably don't need, they'd reduce it to 4,000, but then we'd have to pay them 1,800 in the off year.
Yes.
So I guess to me, it's unfortunate because we didn't know about these things before, which I don't know that it's anybody here's fault or that it wasn't in the budget necessarily. We just were unaware, but based on what Hope's saying, I think unfortunately we got to find a way to pay for it this year. But I don't think it probably makes much sense to agree to some 2-year deal. And we wait until the 2020 year-end audit and have it done again, I guess. And we just need to make notes that we need to start including that in our future costs.
Do you know how much it cost last time?
2009, I don't.
Do you know who did it last? It's not the same company?
It's not the same company, but from what Hope was able to find, she doesn't believe it's accurate numbers. And this was it's 2009, so I wasn't here, and Anita wasn't here either, so.
Does it have to be done for this, for the audit financial statements, I assume?
I think she's looking for it to be done for
Right.
the.
So very soon here. The only thing I was gonna say was, we should see if there's somebody else, but this is who they recommend, and I don't know that we don't have much time, we might have to.
Actuaries are expensive anyway.
Exactly, we might just have to do it with them, but. Okay, I guess, anything else on that, or
No, that's all that I have.
we probably
You need a motion for that?
need a
today,
motion
then?
to take care of that, so.
I'll make that motion that we go ahead and use the actuary that was provided by them and
For the 1 year.
just, yeah, for the 1 year.
Okay, we have a second. The motion is to approve using the actuary for this OPEB study and requirements with or to comply with our audit requirements and for a 1-year study for $4,500. We have a second. Charlie? Call the roll.
McTaggart,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Sticknall,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Okay. Sheriff, do you have anything before we finish department heads?
No, I do not.
Okay. I guess if nobody else has anything, we'll move on to claims, which you should have a copy of in front of you there, I think. Maybe.
Actually, I have a question for the sheriff.
Yep.
Hey Derek, in finance, we were looking at the claims and the water bill was a lot higher. I mean,
Sorry.
management, sorry, yeah. The water bill was a lot higher. Did we have more inmates or did
I
our
know-
rates go up again?
I know
or-
Chris said he was asked maybe if there was a leak, there's nothing that indicates there's any type of leak. And I guess I don't have the answer for you why it was so much higher.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. It was kind
But
of
we don't
significant,
have-
so.
We don't have the cell blocks individually metered or anything like that to show what cell blocks using what water, but,
I didn't know if there was a population explosion over there.
No.
or- Okay.
Anybody have any questions on the claims? If not, do we have a motion to approve them? Bard, second. Charlie? Call the roll.
McTaggart,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Sticknot,
Yes.
Johnson,
Okay. Do we have any old business come before the committee?
I'm gonna ask once again about that report from Ken regarding the revolving loan fund.
Okay. You need to-
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in some time, but, okay,
I can.
maybe put him on the
Stop by his
agenda or
office
something,
and-
or ask him, yeah. Okay, and any other old business? New business? Or,
I think I have something, Mike,
Okay.
I forgot to bring
No
it
problem.
right back.
While we're just talking, I hadn't noticed the aviation fuel being signaled out before in our report here. Is that something new or some reason for it? $99.
Marvin's flying his plane more.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It was on there last month.
Was it there last month too? Well, I wasn't aware.
It has to do with the public safety tax. That's
Okay.
public safety tax that from the aviation, I presume Zumwalt Aviation in the county has to pay that tax, so that's why it showed up, so.
Okay.
Something new.
Okay.
Ballingers have been in contact with us, Mike Ballinger, about 2 parcels in, the village of Loda that he's gotten a tax deed for. And normally, he won't sell these parcels outright to someone unless they've gone through the auction process, unless it's a municipality that's inquiring or a nonprofit. So this is the village of Loda that wants to buy these 2 parcels. So we wanted to get the approval for, and it's been that way for a long time, so there's precedence, you know, about how it's done. So I need, county board approval for Ballinger's too. He has to finish up the tax deed work, and then he'll sell the 2 parcels to the village of Loda. Hopefully, they've already torn down the buildings that are on them because they were dilapidated, and I don't think that villages pay property taxes, but hopefully they won't wanna keep the parcels and maybe they'll sell them to the neighbors or something, and that way it'll get back on the tax roll. Either way, we don't want them, you know, we want them to be sold, so, it's just, it's sort of like when I come and ask at tax, you know, for things to get sold, other than these 2 parcels haven't been to an auction.
Okay. Are we supposed to deal with that, or is it tax?
Well, it's normally tax, but we didn't get the stuff till yesterday, and that's why it didn't even get on the agenda.
Sure.
So since it's not on the agenda, probably don't even wanna make a motion, maybe just a recommendation.
Okay.
And then it'll be on the full board agenda.
Okay. So we need to make a movement to make a recommendation, I guess, that we put that on the full board
Sometimes you
agenda?
could say maybe it was the consensus of the committee to agree to the sale of the 2 parcels.
I would think it'd be a good idea to
Okay.
recommend that we do this.
We'll take that as a motion to recommend to the board that we take that into consideration, put it on the agenda. Do we have a second? Ernie?
Is it a motion? It's not a motion.
It's not a motion.
Well, I think it's
We
fine
have
if
to
you
vote?
just say it
Just
was
say
the
that-
consensus
say
of the
the committee
committee to,
Are we in consensus?
Yes.
Okay, everybody agrees that we should put
and
that
then
on the
we'll make sure
agenda.
it gets on the agenda.
Very good.
for the board.
Okay, any other new business?
so it's not a motion.
It's not a motion.
It's a recommendation.
The only thing I had was, and next month we can get together some documents, but just for the department heads to think about, I know it's early for budgeting and all that kind of stuff, but from the capital expenditures and that stuff, we had that kind of table going of our 5-year projections of what we were gonna need and those things, and I know that's hard to do, but I'd like to start thinking about that at least before we are in the middle of the budget and stuff, and I know things may change or whatever, but at least starting to look at what we're gonna need for capital improvements and not just for, you know, going out in the future, at least start having those conversations before we get to June or whatever and start talking about budget things. So I think next month, I'd like to put that on the agenda, and we'll have the one we have now, which includes where we're at in the budget for this year and maybe some of the history, and if Amanda can put that together and then give that to everybody as a starting point, and then we can
Make a want list.
make a want list as we move into April and let that play out for a month or so until we get into the budget season or whatever, and kind of start working on those longer term, big ticket items.
Before we're behind the eight ball.
Yes, before it's September and we're all arguing over it. But, okay? Yes, sir.
I have something that's really not necessarily a finance matter, but it was I brought up to some of the other committees. On Tuesday, we sent an email out to all the board members relative to an application for a hog farm over in Milford. That subject will be on the agenda for the board meeting next Wednesday also. If you know of anybody that is objecting to that hog farm, they need to come to the meeting next Wednesday and make their feelings known so that we can then respond back to the Department of Agriculture and schedule a hearing. If we don't respond back to them, there won't be a hearing and so forth. The hearing probably doesn't really do any good. As long as the application meets the requirements of the Department of Agriculture, the hog farm will be approved anyway. At least it's very likely that it'll be the case, but in any event, if there's a need to have a hearing, we need to know about it. So that was the purpose of that email, and just want to make sure everybody understands that, and if you do know of anybody that wants to file an objection or whatever, they should make themselves known.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Charlie, all in favor? Aye.
I knew you wanted to
That might be a record speed there.
do-